What's going on, Cowboys Nation? Welcome into another episode of the Sky into Eye Show. We are back, baby. It's been a minute since I talked to my sister from another mister. What's up with you?
Hello,
Hello.
I'm alive.
Well, you've been alive. You've been on the stack. You've been on Girls Talk, Boys Talk. I've been doing the collective and other things here. We just ain't get a chance to come back together and catch up. Is a lot has happened since we last talked. In fact, the last time we rapped, we didn't have a defensive coordinator. We were talking
Joe
about
didn't.
candidates, and we was like, "Yeah, man,
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going, go this way." And then at the end of the show, you said, "Oh, and we got to talk about this new dude that just popped up in the rankings, Christian Parker." And I was like, "Yeah, maybe he'll get on the staff, maybe not." Breaking news: Christian Parker's a defensive coordinator, and for me, the way this has went from since that hire, love it. Absolutely have loved
Oh
everything
yeah.
he's done.
Oh yeah. I think what really made me start being like, okay, they're taking this seriously because that's what I was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, I feel like how people say like the off season starts like the off season. I don't know how do they say like how do they say it's like 365 days
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the year or
Football's
whatever. They're
yeah.
always like, man, whatever. We see y'all being thorough with this process and
Mm-hmm.
really like branching out and stuff. But I also too I said this on another show. I think this hire might be at this point one of the most pivotal hires for Dak Prescott's career. I think that this is it's so important with him being at his prime to get a defense that is balanced to what this offense it does well. Like this is it's kind of put up or shut up time to me
Yeah.
as far as the way his contract is, CD Lamb, Pickens, all this stuff. Like you ain't gonna be able to hold Clayton Adams hostage too much longer. You just put up or shut up time, bro. And I feel like they needed to take this search seriously, and it feels like they have. Feels
Not
like they
only the
have.
DC search, but then Parker and the boys are taking the assistant search seriously
Hmm.
by turning over every rock and hiring a bunch of coaches from either college ranks or young up and coming coaches already in the league. The way he's put together this staff is really encouraging because, as I've said before, you also have mentioned this. We've talked about it behind the scenes. You've got contingency plans, if you will. You have a farm system that could potentially be built under Parker with a bunch of younger. This isn't a 60-year-old defensive coordinator that has guys that follow him everywhere he goes. They'll never be a DC. This
Hmm.
isn't a lame duck defensive coordinator that's not going to last. This is a guy who is bringing in a lot of young up and coming coaches, whether it be from the college ranks or either here in NFL, and that have the ability when you listen to people to say, "Hey, man, he could be a DC at some point. He could be a DC at some time. He could be a head coach at some time." So when you look at the Cowboys' continuity issues on that side of the ball, you can eliminate that if you build a farm system. And I think it feels like Shoddy sees that, and it feels like Parker. I don't know if Parker knows that, but it feels like Parker understands he has to have guys under him that can elevate him, right?
Hmm.
Like if I know I got pressure, I need to get myself together. Or I need to be better because this guy come take my job. Everybody wins.
Hmm. And I mean, you talked about the idea of, there being a continuous growth inside of the building. It sounds like, you want there to be I've been saying this for a while, and I'm sure a lot of the reason why you feel like that is because of the turnover, is because of all the changes. You're looking for some continuous flow or for the language to not change when a guy leaves. For the
The
base level of what
attitude,
you
the
want to do, the
philosophy.
attitude, the
Yeah.
philosophy, all those things, like you're saying. And I think that this could be a great start for them when it comes to that. Another thing too, in regard to, Christian Parker, it's I feel like I've heard people saying because the staff is so young, oh, they need to at least bring in, maybe a senior advisor or something like that. I'm okay with that, if there's something that they decide to do. But I'm also okay with them being like, no, us youngins, we're gonna do what we want to do. And we're gonna figure this out on our own. Like I do feel like there's a hunger, like you mentioned, from top to bottom in the coaching staff and on the defensive side. And with Christian Parker, like so I asked this at Girls Talk, Boys Talk. Shout out to my girls. I asked them is this job appealing? Is it appealing? Do you think that this job, given that what Dallas was last year, last season, you only have, you don't have a second or a third round pick. You know that we don't know what they're gonna do in free agency. Is this an appealing job having to turn all of this around and the expectations and all that stuff? What do you think? Is it an appealing job? Did you
If
think that this job would be appealing?
it's only 32 of them, everyone's appealing to me in regards to a defensive coordinator situation. Now, head
Mm.
coach, a little different because is a Cleveland job appealing as a head coach? No. Like, is who was in a bad organization? You can't even really say. At one point, Jacksonville wasn't because they had Trent Baalke, but
Cincinnati?
you got rid
Okay.
of Trent Baalke.
They
Cincinnati,
getting
in
there
a
to
way,
me.
because of the ownership, right, is not great. So, like, as a head coach, where you got so much more you got to deal with, then I could be like, it may not be appealing. But as a defensive coordinator who's never had a defensive coordinator job, I can't really turn my eye to any opening. But it's the Cowboys, right? If
I
you
mean,
come to the Cowboys and you turn the
it's like we
Cowboys
say
around
that
a
though.
little bit, you're going to
But
be a
we
head
say
coach.
that though, but they've been looking at what's been going on. They've been looking at the turnover.
Who's
They
they?
see I'm talking about the coaches that you're interviewing. Like, despite, I just think that it's subjective.
Are
I think
you
that it's
are you
subjective
saying the
whether
assistant coach?
the
Are you
job is
asking if the assistant coaches think this is appealing, or did Christian Parker think this is appealing?
Christian Parker. I was talking about the DC. For
Oh yeah,
DC,
did
is
not
this an
stand.
appealing job? I think that it's subjective. I feel like we feel like, oh, it's the Cowboys. Oh, yeah, this, like, I shouldn't be able to, I'm not trying to be too choosy and things like that. This guy had other suitors. Like, I'm like, the fact that he took on this job, to me, shows the hunger, because this, I don't think that this is just as appealing of a job as what we're assuming that it is, especially with the way that the we already know how the ownership is, all those things, and you're having to kind of flip a defense that was the worst, one of the worst in the league. It sounds good to be like, yeah,
Yeah,
I want to go turn it around, but
I
it
mean, again,
sounds good to
it's
me, but
one
is
of
that really like what
32
it
as a
is?
defensive coordinator. I get it. If you just put it in a box and list all the negatives to it, yeah, I could do that for all of the defensive coordinator openings. There may have not been, maybe except for over there in with the Ravens, they got some good pieces over there. You could say that in Cleveland as well, but there's some bad defenses around the league. But that's the job, right? Usually, if a defensive coordinator gets fired, they had a bad defense, right? That they usually have had a bad defense, and
Mhm.
what those teams don't have is the Cowboys brand. So if I'm not a defensive coordinator before, and I take on the Cowboys defensive coordinator job, and I just do decent enough, Dan Quinn in 1 year took the franchise worst defense in Dallas. Not appealing if in this similar scenario, right? Not appealing. With the worst defense ever. Don't spend money in free agency, all that type of stuff. Turned it around in 1 year. The very next year, he was getting head coach opportunities. So
That's a fantastic point. I get
yeah,
your explanation.
yeah,
No, I
so
get that it could be appealing. That's why I was asking. I wanted
yeah.
to know what was your stance on
Yeah,
if
but see, my thing
you
is,
feel
I
like it
think
was appealing.
all defense, like if I've never been a defensive coordinator, if somebody offered me a job, that's my shot. You know what I'm saying? But if you want to rank them where Dallas would rank, I would have to take a look at that. Maybe it's less appealing than the Ravens job. You know what I'm saying? Because of other things, but that star, bruh,
You
that
don't think
star
the
do
pressure
something.
is different? I mean, but you don't, that's what
Pressure.
I'm saying. You don't think the pressure is different? The spotlight is different? I mean, we haven't mentioned it, but this is a young black coach. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
no,
Like,
that's a legitimate
that's another layer to
observation. There
what
is
is
a
happening right
pressure.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is another layer to what's happening right now. Like, the fact that he's like, yeah, I can do that. Like, I like that. I like
but
that he took this on. Like,
you think he'd turn it down?
I don't think he would turn it down. I think it just says something that he is not that he's not afraid of it, that he's not shying from it at all. I think it says something that he has clearly had a plan. I think it says something that he's cool with it, because again, the scrutiny is gonna look a little different here, and you know that. And that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
If he had been a
It's
previous
not the same for all
coordinator,
32.
if
It's
he
just
had been
not.
a previous coordinator, I think he'd understand what that comes with. This dude ain't never been a coordinator. Give me that type. Like, what pressure? What, I don't really care.
So
Like,
you think that
too
he's like
hungry.
Just
He's
young
too
and dumb. He
hungry.
just like he don't
Yeah,
eat.
he's
Yeah.
too. There
Okay,
you
okay,
go.
okay, okay, okay,
He's
okay.
too. Like he don't know no
Okay, I feel
better.
you. I feel you. I
He
feel
don't.
you. I feel
He
you.
gonna find out in that first bad game, but he
If you
don't know
don't
no
know
better
now,
right
you
now.
gonna find
The
out.
minute the Cowboys they put up 28 on the Cowboys, they don't get a sack. Yeah, you gonna feel it then, Christian. But at this point, what you mean? Spotlight and interviews and pressure, dog. Let's go. You can
Mm.
just sense that hunger in that when you listen to him. Now we'll know more when they sit down with Christian Parker, because we haven't sat down with him just yet. But we'll
Mm.
be able to hear it and be able to piece more together. And I think the fan base will like him even more. You know, I
Man,
really
I'm
do.
so excited to just be able to learn and stuff. But yeah, the staff that he's been putting together, I'm especially excited about the outside linebackers coach from Georgia.
Here's the part I like. It says outside linebackers coach, and they just hired an inside linebackers coach. Which to I that means we're probably going to be a 3-4 odd front stand up edge rush defense, and oh, I'm so
It's
excited.
happening.
I am
It's
so
happening.
excited for that. Speaking of which,
Sleeper is the #1 fantasy sports app. It pays to know sports. Pick more or less on top players. Your first pick is on us, so start winning now. Play in Texas, Georgia, Minnesota, and 27 more states. Pick anytime across all sports, pregame or live. Over 10 million players are already on Sleeper. Make your picks count. Score up to 1,000 times your cash. Join today. Get up to $100 credit using code STEAL. Call your shot on Sleeper. Download now.
Yeah, that's a good
the
transition.
Cowboys, I usually do my hindsight series every year. I started in 2020, hindsight 2020. What we do is we review a position group from the previous year. And I text you and it was like, what better position group to review today than the edge room, right? With all the hoopla surrounding the edge room right now. And you might be like, what you mean hoopla, Sky? Well, reports came out around Super Bowl week that Maxx Crosby is again disgruntled. This isn't new. This is something that has been coming out for quite some time. But Jay Glazer is not nobody to play with. And Jay Glazer said he does not believe that Maxx Crosby is going to be a part of the Raiders organization. Max spoke out on this and he didn't really shut it down. It kind of came off a bit defensive. So it leads me to believe that it is a real potential that he could be out of there too. And they just hired a new coach. Shouts out to Clint Kubiak, Super Bowl offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks. He's not a defensive coach, so maybe he has a little bit more of a bias towards offense. So maybe he could say, you know what, we'll get rid of a defensive player for some picks, which has led everybody to believe the Cowboys should be in the market. I have the question here: how can the Cowboys get in the running? Because I think they should be, right? Like Dallas should be looking at Maxx Crosby as a potential trade candidate. And no, not for George Pickens. I'm just going to shut that down right now. I know that's the whole.
Stop.
I know that's the whole thing. I get it. Like George Pickens for Maxx Crosby because somebody made a hypothetical, or a couple people made a hypothetical. You don't have to do that. You can acquire George or Maxx Crosby and still extend George Pickens. Okay, ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
we got to stop this organization that pits us against each other every year about this either or, one or the other, and people fall for it. They fall for it. You don't have to do that. You can make it work in this window that you have with Dak Prescott in his current contract. So I'm not here for the George Pickens Maxx Crosby thing. However, I will give you the floor. Your thoughts on trading George Pickens for Maxx Crosby. Like that is that's the talk of town right now.
I don't have any thoughts.
Okay. All right.
I don't think anyone should have any thoughts on entertaining
Oh,
anything
yeah,
like
well,
that.
thoughts
Like,
you want, but I'm not entertaining it. I don't think that's
no, y'all, come on. Like,
yeah.
your offense, I think people, I don't know if anyone's done it yet, but maybe we should do it. Maybe we should do it together. Maybe we should go within the numbers to really show how good the offense was with a defense that did not ever really get turnovers and the starting
Mm-hmm.
field position that they had to work with most of the time. Like,
And
I need y'all to understand
to
how effective the offense was despite so many things around them not going well. My God, they just need special teams to play a little bit better and also for the defense
I
to
do you
get
one
like
better.
a
How effective it was when CD Lamb went down.
I'm about to faint. I'm about to throw
Like we
up. Like,
literally were celebrating the fact that
dog,
we had another guy to be able to take, over that role
people
as
wish.
dominant as he did.
People don't that don't happen in our league. It don't matter how good your two is. A lot of the time you don't feel in like that. You don't feel in like that. Like,
With with that said, our conversation isn't about either or.
yeah, cause we about to start. We about to
Both
start
of them.
about it.
We want
We about to
both
start
of them,
about it.
right? And so I pose the question: how can the Cowboys get him, or how can the Cowboys get in the running? They 100% should be picking up the phone. I think good organizations pick up the phone to get a guy like this who is a dominant edge, who I think can play in this scheme. I think he can stand up and do some things. I think he can put his hand down.
Yeah,
He's
that
a
would be the first thing I would look at.
yeah.
Is does he fit now? And
Oh,
yeah.
he can fit. Think T.J.
Mhm.
Watt. I mean, that's essentially what he can be. And when you look at an eye front 3-4 type, he literally would be T.J. Watt. And
I can see him now. I can see him now. He can't go to Deep Ellum, but I can see him now.
he's a changed
Just
man. He's a changed
I
man.
can see. Oh,
Fortunately,
I'm
yeah.
not talking about anything negative. I'm just talking about like people gonna love him here. People would love a person like Maxx here.
They will love him until they realize he got a podcast and he say some things. But hopefully they learned their lesson. I'm gonna just leave it at that. Leave it at that.
Maxx,
Oh, yeah, he got a podcast,
no,
and he's vocal like the other person. But he ain't in Dallas. He ain't in
Maxx.
Dallas. So
No, that's such a good point because I had no idea.
yeah, we've been down that road, but I
That's
don't care.
something to keep an
Just
eye out
get
on.
you just do what you can get out of it for 3 years, and then hopefully get a ring, and then y'all can hate him after that if you want. But that's
Oh, righty
neither
roo.
here nor there. So obviously we're talking this Maxx Crosby trade prospect because of the issues you've had with the defensive, line room. So before we get to the defensive edge room, I mean, I did have a potential scenario, like a trade scenario to get a Maxx Crosby. And I just wanted to hear your thoughts. And obviously, chat, you can let me know what you think about it as well. I don't think it's going to take 2 ones to get Maxx. I don't.
I don't
I
either.
think you can do it for my proposal would be this year's 20, next year's 2, and then potentially maybe another pick for next year or a player. And the player I have, and a lot of people ain't gonna like this, but I don't know if he's gonna move the needle enough, but who knows? Kenny Clark, I think could be a guy you can include in this package that will mitigate the monies. You get $21 million freed up to bring in a Maxx Crosby. And Kenny Clark's a solid enough player that maybe the Raiders say, okay, you're not giving me Solomon Thomas. You're giving me a pretty decent player who has 1 year left on his deal. And if we want to keep him, we can extend him. Or they can clear that space themselves and say, you know what? We're a young team trying to rebuild. We don't need a 30-year-old defensive tackle. We'll collect that 21. It'll probably be more like 15, 16 million on the cap, and we'll use that in 2027. But I think that's a player that you can look into potentially trading because you don't have a negative ramification from trading Kenny Clark. There's no dead money. There's no nothing. Now, maybe they say Osa, and that's fine too, but I was thinking Kenny because it's cleaner. But this year's 20, next year's 2, and if they need a little extra sauce, a Kenny Clark, or maybe a potential other pick. But I do think you have the resources to be able to do it, Tuai. Just your thoughts on that.
I do you one better. I don't know. I think the way that the Raiders are, they're obviously highly valuing him. There's a little bit of some feuding going on between them. Like they're not seeing, each other clearly. I don't know if it's gonna take that too.
Mm.
It might be like we talked about it on with Brian and Woodchuck on the stack. We talked about it being a one, I think that 12 or 20 and then a fifth.
Oh shit!
Because Dallas should have about 2 or 3 comp picks in the fifth.
So you're saying not
Or
even touching next year's picks at all,
which is I
right? You're
think
saying
that the
this year's
Raiders will
fifth is what
come.
I'm assuming. Okay,
Yeah, I think the Raiders will come down
I'll do
to
that.
earth a little bit about what's going on. Now, again, I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to, ransom off more if you need to, but
Yeah,
hey,
and my scenario in it was also getting back a third from next year, but I don't know if they do that. But
see,
that was
we
something.
talked about the 12th pick on that's what we were talking
So
about.
the
So like
12th,
not
yeah,
20.
I'm
So
with you. I
12,
wouldn't.
like the 12th and then a fifth.
Yeah, so 12, I feel
That's what
like you
we.
don't have to give up as much. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like if you do 20, you might have to come up off of another pick and some
Mm-hmm.
change.
So
But
I think if we were talking that a first and a fifth should do it, a early fifth should
12
do
and
it.
5 or 12 and the
Mm-hmm.
5,
Mm-hmm.
I'm hesitant. I don't want to trade 12, but damn it, if they come to me and say, we'll give you 12, we'll give you max for 12, yes, I would take it.
Yes.
And, I
Yes.
don't want to because I mean, I don't want to do that originally. Like I want to keep
Mm-hmm.
12 to take what could be a potential blue chipper there. That's the weird part of the draft this season.
Mm-hmm.
But if they say, nah, it ain't 20, it's 12 or bust, I'm not about to I'm not about to say no to Maxx Crosby
Yeah.
because of
And
8
it did.
slots.
Yeah, and it depends on how the board falls. Like if I mean, if you have quite a few receivers go or whatever the case may be, we might be able to.
Well,
Dallas might be. They
I
might.
don't
Somebody might want to trade up for that pick
I don't think so. Here's my other thing, right? I
for
don't
20.
think this can happen on the clock. I think this
Oh, okay.
has
You think this
I
is
think this has
okay?
to happen prior. Because
Okay.
I think you might actually lose leverage on the clock. Because if you get on the clock and there's a player there that they don't want, why
Mm-hmm.
would they trade it?
Mm-hmm.
You want to leave them with as much possibilities as possible right now in their heads. Like, oh, if we get 12, maybe we can get down. Oh, if we get 12, maybe we can get, or you say, maybe we'll just trade the damn pick. Since we're rebuilding, we'll flip it. We'll get more ones for next year. Like I think or
There's
trade up if they want whatever they want to do.
there there would be it really like this defensive class is actually very impressive. I know that people I hate when people are like, "Oh, this is a down draft just because there's not a lot of tackles or
Hmm.
guards." Like, come on, guys, breathe. Tight ends, like breathe. This is more of a defensive draft. Um, we even worked it yesterday. Depending on how things go, like Dallas might be in a good spot and being able to get Maxi
You
to
already got
get
a nickname
a
for him.
Maxi, my bad. To being able to get a Max Crosby would be able to kind of ease a lot of that stuff because you could probably still get a good DB. You could probably still get a good safety. Like it's options there. So I hope that Dallas is smart with it, but they should be in the running for this. And like you just
Yes.
said, that's the thing about the combine. Whew, we're gonna have boots on the ground at the combine. That's when this stuff start brewing. Free
Hmm.
agency, people start talking, agents is
All the
all
agents is there.
around, all
Yeah.
the coaches and
Mark
stuff. You
Davis and
start
Jerry
hearing
could meet up a little bit, or Steven.
absolutely. This is the time. So everybody should be definitely keeping their ears low to the ground. Make sure you keep checking your timelines for the people that are credible in our community. We'll start hearing some things. And I think if there's any smoke about this, I think this could be like a real thing,
And,
personally.
and for those who may think it's not possible financially, it is. The Cowboys just have to make it possible. The Cowboys can clear the most cap space, create the most cap space in the league via restructures. $131 million. That's not by accident. That was built in a lot of these contracts. Now, some of them will require potentially an extension, or again, potentially moving on from a guy like a Kenny Clark. Either you can extend him and create cap space, or you can move on and create cap space. You can cut guys like Terrence Steele and things like that. You don't have to click all the buttons to get 131, but you can click a bunch of them and still create yourself with so much cap space. You'll be able to fit a Maxx Crosby under it to where you can restructure his contract as well.
Mhm.
Like the whole thought process to me should be, if you believe you have this 3-year window with Dak Prescott, because that's his contract. His contract is 3 years. You need to go all in for these 3 years. Not all in for 2026, but make the necessary moves starting today that set you up within that 3-year window. And Maxx Crosby helps set you up. It takes away a need. Right now, you have a massive hole at defensive end going into the draft and free agency that I don't think you will find this talent in either
Mhm.
of those. So if you get this guy who moves the needle, who creates, advantages up front, he's a nightmare for defensive. We should know. Like you have to game plan for him, and we saw it when you look at the film when we played the Raiders. We had a game plan for Max, and we
Yeah, and
we
he's
did things because of him.
yeah, you gotta chip that dude. You gotta do something.
Yeah, we had to do a
He
whole
has a
lot.
yeah,
Who?
he got some relentlessness to him, like in his game. But I agree with you. I think I wasn't thinking about it from a standpoint. Obviously, we've been talking about it from like a draft perspective, but to get ahead of it, maybe would be conducive for you. And also too, it allows you to, when you talked about restructures, my ears perked up because hey, your offense is on that type of energy. We've already heard Dak Prescott mention, even in regard to Pickens, like he's willing to do what he needs to do. We've heard CD Lamb say, hey, I'm willing to restructure as well.
Well, they're
Like,
built in those. They don't have a choice. That's a
yeah.
cowboy thing. Like
Hmm.
they click that button. They don't lose money. It's just money is prorated out later. So it's all there for them to do it. Um,
Yeah.
and they will because they have to. They'll click likely CD Lamb and Dak Prescott and maybe Tyler Smith, and that'll give them ample enough cap to sign draft picks and sign low bottom level free agents. But they can do a bunch of other things to be able to participate in tier 1 and tier 2 of free agency and still get a Maxx Crosby and still sign a George Pickens. Like that is all possible. Do not let anybody say it's not. It's there.
Yeah. Because there's not a, I mean, be honest, like this edge class is impressive. There's some really nice talent at the top end. I can't think of really any of them that would make me second guess a Max Crosby.
No.
Like no, like so there's not any maybe upside wise, yeah, sure, but like right now this guy's proven he can come in, and I also think too, Sky, as we move on, is his energy is needed in that room too.
Yeah.
I think his leadership could be fantastic for that room. Um, I think pairing him with, with like a Donovan Izaraku, obviously you got your interior guys, Quentin Williams. I think that energy up front, the leadership, how he works, all that stuff would also be good for this defensive like in room that you're rebuilding as well at this point.
And there you go.
I mean, you've experienced a lot of loss there. So he would be a good guy to kind of start that foundation and start to build up from there.
That's a good segue because this edge room, coming into 2025 with the Micah Parsons, felt like it was deep. And then you traded Micah Parsons and it kind of caught everybody by surprise. And me personally, I said, well, I think that changes things drastically. And I don't think the Cowboys, rush is as good as what it once was, obviously, right? When you trade one of the best, if not the best pass rusher in the National Football League. And then you combine that with a poor pass coverage and you get one of the worst pass defenses I've ever seen in Cowboys history. So let's go through this list here and kind of just review these players. I'm going to start backwards because there is some light at the end of the tunnel, because as a unit, I think this was an underwhelming unit, but individually there's a little bit more nuance to it. So there's a little bit of light there, but to why you let me know, it was a bit of an underwhelming unit to start, or when you look at it from a totality.
Oh yeah, I mean, I just think you didn't get nearly as much as what you would have expected to get from. I think what you were expecting to get from Dante Fowler. I mean, Dallas brought him back. Had a good year in Dallas before, and then obviously went to Washington, had a big year there, a career year there. I think the expectation is that he was going to, continue on that trend or at least stay stable in that regard. And we didn't see that here in Dallas. I know he was a bit banged up, but that was like a letdown to an extent. And then you also too, Sam Williams coming off the ACL. I think that we knew that he wasn't going to be able to contribute, in totality, but and I think he showed some, growth in certain areas and stuff, but it still just wasn't enough. I was like, you didn't get enough from the unit in general. And if Lord have mercy, what would happen if you didn't have Clowney?
And
What would have been like if you didn't have
even
Clowney?
with Clowney, it wasn't
Guy?
great.
Even with
So
Clowney, but I'm just
that's
saying, like,
crazy to think about.
it's terrifying. And I mean, and he said he was what? Being a parent.
Off
His
the
country
street.
self. He country.
But let's stay there with the two of the guys I thought was the most disappointing in the room is Dante Fowler and Sam Williams.
Yeah, please.
Dante Fowler's coming off that 10-sack season with Dan Quinn. He came here and I thought he was going to be like a perfect six man with Micah. But again, what happens when you don't have that type of guy? Everybody's snaps increase, everybody's responsibilities increase, and I think that will
Absolutely.
decrease their potential output because they weren't ever or not ever, but they weren't supposed to be put in those roles to carry. And they tried to make Dante Fowler carry, and it just did not work out early on. He's not a run guy, and what they were asking him to do, it didn't fit according to him. He talked about it on his way out. He talked about like the coaching and things like that. So I thought he was disappointing. Doesn't mean I don't think he could be, a part of somebody's unit as a reserve guy, but it was. But I won't be as nice with Sam. I think Sam Williams, granted, coming off of the ACL, I'm looking at Sam not just in 2025, but his total career in Dallas as one of the most disappointing second round picks that wasn't a hurt guy, that wasn't a character. Well, he does have character concerns, but it didn't keep him off the field, if you will, Tuai. He played 3 of the 4 seasons, and it was a disappointing totality of 4 years in Dallas, maybe more so than your character concern guy because they're off the team, your injured guy because they're injured. He played a lot, and he just never gave you enough to say, we got to re-sign Sam Williams. So that was just disappointing second-round pick.
No, it's fair. I mean, it's another one, another second round pick bites the dust.
Another one.
Dallas got to figure that out real bad. But but yeah, it wasn't. You already kind of put yourself behind the 8 ball because again, as we talk about this defensive end room, I don't think Dallas expected. I think the Micah trade was very reactionary. I don't think that when they let go of Tank, that was the plan all along. But the Micah thing was not something I think was supposed to happen. You weren't supposed to lose both of your starting defensive ends. I don't think that was in their plans.
No.
It was too late to really fix it. They put a Band-Aid on that thing, and it was peeling off after like the 4th game. So I don't know. It just was ugly. I think it was ugly from the start with what happened with Micah. And it really was starting from not, obviously, you didn't re-sign D-Law. Shout out to D-Law. I know how you feel. I saw you on the collective. You said,
shouts out to him, but that's about it. Like I don't get this whole, oh my God, I'm so happy for DeMarcus Lawrence. Like I
connected with him in the locker room. That's
you
my
different.
Dude,
you different. You actually know the guy. You talk to the guy, been around the guy. You have a relationship with him.
Your body language, you said.
If a player leaves my team and basically say screw you, and then I'm sorry. Look again, fan me. I don't give a. But human me, hey, congratulations, bro. Like, shouts out to you and leave it at that. But as a fan, I'm not about to sit here and be like, oh my God, that's so amazing. Like, man, look, I don't know you. I don't have no emotional connection to that man.
I don't think Dallas was planning on losing both they started defensive ends. If you at least had one, you maybe would feel a little bit better. So I say all that to say things didn't go as planned, and it was rough all year long. And I think you did really see the fatigue set in for those guys too, because there wasn't a stable rotation really.
Yeah, well, they tried. They tried. James Houston was another guy. We go take a look at the room again. Who started off hot, but what happens when you're asked to do more than you were expected to do? You kind of run out of steam, and people get film on you, and you just become another void. But James Houston was really good those first 6-7 games of the season, and he kind of just fizzled out to the point you kind of forgot about him a little bit. That's not to say that James Houston can't be again part of the depth, because I think he can, and he's one of the 2 players that are under contract. He's the only, him and Izaraku were the only 2 under contract from this list. And so him coming back, especially in a scheme where he can stand up, I like that for depth.
I do too.
I really, really like that. So I like, so there is a little bit of light. Again, as a unit, underwhelming, disappointing. Individually, there's some things to say, okay, James Houston, let's see what he can do. And then you look at a guy like Donovan Izaraku, one of the most played rookie edge rushers out of that class, coming out 16.5 sacks. We all thought Donovan Izaraku could be like a pass rush specialist guy, but it just felt like they weren't really asking him to do that. So he became a pretty damn good run defender. Excuse me. And he handled that well. Disappointing, if you will, as a pass rusher. But I was trying to caution people, it's not as easy as you think to just come in here and just collect sacks. Like it's just not.
Micah was special, y'all. Micah's special, y'all.
Yeah, it's not easy, man. Like your first matchup going up against a 6'8", 345-pound tackle. Like that was a welcome to the NFL, But he played the run very well. You saw at times some of that technique from college. You saw some of that dip and that bend. And I think there was a huge upside with him. And now that he's probably going to be standing up, I am really excited to see Izaraku with a different type of get off, different type of responsibility the arrow's pointing up. It may have been disappointing from a sack department standpoint, but you saw pressures starting to get there. He was solid in the run defense, and he was asked to kind of grow up fast, which we didn't
Yeah.
expect to happen, you know?
Yeah. He was asked to grow up fast. And to your point about how he grew as a run defender, that was, I mean, especially given like he's undersized, and just to see him have the willingness and the nose and being able to, shed and tackle and to be confident in that, I think that that is a huge upside with the pass rushing thing. I think that his next biggest thing is going to be keeping guys' hands off of him.
Mm.
He has good initial quickness off the line, but it's not like stifling suddenness.
It's not elite.
He's always been more of a technician, and so I think that he just has to get better with, timing his punches, timing when he's doing these things, because some of those guys, they're defeating his outside hand very quickly, and they're latching on him very quickly. If he's getting up his chest, he's struggling there. So I think, and he got better over the season. It's like, don't let them get their hands on you.
He went through
Like,
spurts where he was like, oh, there's that toolbox that you showed us in
mhm,
college, right? Like, because coming out, I was like, man, I don't think anybody has a deeper toolbox than him.
mhm,
Like, he has so many counters. He could beat you one way 2 times in a row and go different 3 times.
mhm,
He even talked about setting guys up. You saw all of that. But in the pros, I don't know if it was a confidence issue. I don't know if it was, I didn't believe him being coached the way he was being coached. Maybe they didn't want him
mhm.
to do certain things. But it's like, where is that? Where's the counters? Where's the hand fighting? Where's all the things we saw on film? It was long arm, it was bull rush, and it was trying to beat you around the edge the majority of the time. But
Yeah,
when
because he
you
couldn't.
but when you
He was Go ahead,
saw
go
him,
ahead. Mhm,
try, it was oh, there it is, right? But it never was
mhm.
consistent.
Yeah, I think it's just the technique, dealing with some of these guys that got more length than him, obviously, and and I think that there's just a clear difference, in some of these NFL, I mean, NFL level tackles. These guys are like, they be out there on islands. Can you imagine you out there on islands with Maxx Crosby, Michael Parsons? Like, they're different than these college dudes.
Yes.
Like, you got to work your way up. So yeah,
Yep.
you might have been able to get busy, and he did see adequate competition when he was at Boston College. He did. I'm not taking it from him, but I'm just saying, like, I think this was a wake up call for him that he is going to have to refine some of his technique and his timing. To me, I think a lot of it is timing for him. So we'll see. Definitely a lot of upside. I'm excited for him, and
Me too.
you know,
I, I can't wait to
mm,
see how he's going to be as a stand-up guy, like I said. Because
oh, I think he's gonna love
I
it.
think there's an
I
advantage
think
for
we're
him.
gonna love it.
As
Yeah.
opposed to hand in the dirt. Like again, y'all, we got on Micah. Well, not me, but a lot of people got on Micah because his size. But I thought he actually played a lot stronger than his size as a hand in the dirt edge.
Hmm.
He's smaller.
Yeah. When we were at camp, when I was at training camp,
Way
obviously
smaller.
Michael wasn't practicing, and so they had Donovan Izaraku doing a lot of the Micah esque stuff, and it was stand up stuff. He was standing up a lot of the time, and it looked natural. It didn't look weird for him. He didn't
He
look
did
like
some
he
of
was
that
just
at Boston
clunking
College.
around. Hmm. He
Like
did, yeah, absolutely.
they would
So
put
I'm
him in the
excited.
middle. It was like okay, well,
This will be a good fit for him. I think it'll be a good fit for him, scheme wise and stuff. So people should be excited about Donovan Izuraku coming back next year and having a better year, in addition to being a good run defender.
then you got old man Clowney, man. David
That's my
Clowney was
dog, man.
just
That's my dog. He played his heart out, bro. He played his heart out. We
he,
gotta give it to him.
he was just chilling on the couch, and Jerry saw how bad his pass rush was, and they said, "Well, we got to call somebody to do something." And they called Clowney, and Clowney came in. I thought he was solid for the most part, and then
Mhm.
really good for a couple games. But that was your best guy. Think about that for a second. Well, shouts out to him, by the way. He's 34 years old, so I mean, he was not supposed to come in here and be your best defensive.
Yo, Clowney being your best guy in 2020 freaking five
It's
is
insane.
insane, dog. Like,
I have to
what?
laugh, bro, because like we
Clowney
are
is that dude, but in 2020,
like we're excited about his production on a curve. Because at the end of the day, it was terrible defense, a terrible pass rush. But you go look at his production in a couple of those big games he had, and it's like, man, that's awesome. That's dope. But then when you really step back and go, oh my God, that was our best guy. No offense to Devian. It ain't his
no,
fault.
the tape was the run defense tape was chef kiss. I mean,
That's his thing. But he is,
there's
and I
some
don't know why people,
fantastic
when I
tape.
wanted him years ago, I don't know why people didn't bring this up. He has notoriously been one of the best edge defenders from a run standpoint. So somebody on Twitter was like, they said something along the lines of, well, we're missing D-Law. And I was like, respectfully, Clowney is your D-Law. Respectfully. With maybe even a little bit better pass rush to him. Respectfully, if it's a D-Law, he might be in a better run defender throughout his career. Respectfully. So I don't think it was that you were missing a D-Law type of player because you had it in Clowney. What you were missing was the rest. You didn't have a guy to complement Clowney. First of all, Clowney shouldn't even be a guy that played as much as he played. But the problem is you didn't have enough. You want to bring back Clowney this next year as a rotational player. You don't want to bring back Clowney as a guy that's playing 70% of the snaps. Like, not at 34, 35, whatever he's going to be. Like, that's not it. So when I was putting this together and I kept stepping back, I was like, I go look, and there was a couple big games, the Giants game at the end for Clowney, and I think it was the Washington game. And I'm like, he had a solid, if Clowney wasn't, if you looked at this and said, he was a part of the rotation, you'd be like, man, that's for a good team, that's awesome. But the fact that he's your best edge guy in this room, and like you said, in this day and age, that is a major red flag to me.
They can never miss it. Every year there's a position that I feel like gets mishandled in a way, or something goes wrong or something like that. And I'm just hoping for a season where there can be a plan, it can be thought out, and it can be executed, because that was the running back room last year. Not enough. What's the plan here? Like, it's just kind of how it was. So I'm just waiting for them to, and then we can say it was linebacker. It's been linebacker too. It's just, can we just have a plan, try to execute it? We know everything's not going to go perfectly, but like, the defensive end room, I've low key, you got to feel for them a little bit. Like, they were not put in a good position at all. And then Dallas went out and was like, oh, we're going to fix the interior and help y'all out a little bit. Yeah, go ahead.
They didn't do that until they got Quinnen.
They didn't do that until the end. So it was like, we're going to, you bringing up the elevated snaps is a fantastic point, Scott, because I do think that that's some of what you saw with some of these young guys. Again, Sam Williams returning from ACL, like elevated snaps, you're talking about Clowney with the age. You're talking about James Houston, that is a, guy that's went from different team to different team. He's typically a rotational guy. Yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And you lost the gentleman of that rotation tragically as well. Like,
yeah, we didn't even bring that up. Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't plan for that either. So it's just,
it was rough. It was, and that's part of it. I think that part makes it the roughest.
It's a rough year for them.
Aspect was losing Marshawn Kneeland. But from a football production standpoint, again, an underwhelming year. And I don't think anybody in that room, maybe outside of Clowney because he wasn't there, but anybody in that room expected it to start the way it started because they had Micah at the time. And once they didn't, Dallas was kind of on its heels immediately trying to play catch up. And again, eventually they turned that into getting Quinnen. So you are a little ahead on the interior, but they have to figure out this edge room. And I think, again, going back to the start of the show or earlier in the show, Crosby will help with that. Crosby eliminates the need in both free agency and the draft. Like, you don't have to take an edge early. You don't have to sign a tier 1 guy or a 2 guy in free agency. You can then say, okay, let's call back Clowney up, call Clowney up as a depth guy. Let's call Franklin Myers as a depth guy. Let's get those type of dudes in here. If you got yourself a young up-and-comer in Izaraku and an absolute menace in his prime in Maxx Crosby, man, you eliminate that. You eliminate it off your board in a good way.
Yeah, I think it would be smart. And initially, until yesterday, I was just putting it to the back of my brain. I just hadn't been thinking about it at all. I was just like, whatever. Like, it's just, But yesterday I was like, hey, actually, this does make sense. And I think that he will really fit in here.
Oh, Max?
I think it would be great. I think he would be awesome for that room. Really.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Let's look from our lips to the football guy's ears. Or know what? Better yet, tell your grandma to pray about it.
Yeah, I do.
Grandma gonna be like, who the hell, Max?
Who you say? Max.
Max.
Is he a child?
What he done did?
What? Cosby. Is he black?
Cosby. He related to Bill. Sweetie. Yeah, well, you know what? We do gotta pray. We gotta pray for all the Cosbys.
Cosby, you say? No, Grandma, Crosby.
Just don't put the pops, no.
Crosby. I'm
Hey,
telling
look, this is a good one today. This is a good one. Appreciate y'all for coming through and kicking it with us. We're gonna do more of these position reviews, and we're gonna, stay up with whatever news is dropping at the moment. We'll have that for you. But it's what I call series time of the year, meaning I have a lot of series that I do throughout the off season. This is just one of them. So next week we'll attack another position group. And the cool thing about this is that we can start tying it into some of your draft stuff, because almost every position on defense we have to draft. So, maybe we can do a certain segment of the show where you touch on a potential target for the Cowboys at that position. So defensive,
Okay.
with the cornerback, linebacker, safety, defensive tackle are all on the board for our position review. And I'm pretty sure you've watched them all. Not all, but you've watched a ton of them. And I feel like that'd be a good way to kind of introduce some of the players to some fans and myself that maybe we haven't really been paying
Heck yeah,
attention
I
to.
would love to.
Yeah, I think that'd be dope. Eye in the
I would love
Sky.
to.
We can bring back Eye in the Sky, but college edition. I think that'd be
Okay,
good.
that's cute.
Yeah, I think that'd
That's
be
cute.
good.
Oh my God, I need some sun. All right.
You do. You making me look like
No, y'all don't. Hey, don't be in. Y'all better not be in the chat talking crazy. I know I'm light skinned. I don't need y'all to bully me about it.
Be ready for it, is what I'm saying. For 2i, I'm Sky. Appreciate y'all for rocking with us. We got here. Peace.